Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexander Creek, psychic medium, numerologist, and astrologer. And I wanted to talk about the astrology energy that's going on because I didn't put out a regular weekly video this week. So I'm going to talk about the new moon that we had midweek and talk about what new beginnings that's kind of bringing in for you, what new cycles that you're starting, what seeds you're planting, that kind of thing. I'll do that at the end of the video. But if you want to just jump to the new moon forecast, you certainly can, no hard feelings. And that'll all be timestamped below based on your sign. But we have some uncomfortable energy going on right now, all around the world, obviously, but you can definitely see some crazy stuff going on in the United States, where I live, kind of just based on the Capitol breach that happened. It was January 6th, I believe, is when that happened. And so obviously, I do kind of want to briefly mention, far right-wing terrorism in the United States is very scary, as is white supremacy. That's a very real issue, and dressing it up as something else is completely ludicrous. And I'm definitely not going to not talk about that. So if you don't want me talking about it, then feel free to unsubscribe. But I want to talk about the kind of crunchy energy we're experiencing as a collective right now. Okay, so Mars is the planet of action, energy, aggression, of war, right? It separates, it's conflict, and so it finally went into Taurus. I think it was either early January or late December, I can't remember. But it was in Aries for a very, very long time in 2020 due to like a retrograde, and it just was super annoying. And so Taurus is a sign that it's a fixed sign, it's an earth sign. So fixed signs like things to kind of stay the same, doesn't really like the boat being rocked too much. It is, I think it is probably a little bit underrated as a Mars sign because, while Taurus likes stability and things to kind of stay the same, it does work for what it wants. It's very productive. For me, I'm a Taurus sun. I very much identify with like slow but steady. I'm not going to rush into anything. Well, actually, I rush into things quite a lot, but that's some other parts of my chart kind of speaking up. But I really do identify with, baby steps, constant baby steps, constantly moving towards something that I want. So Mars in Taurus is useful for that, right? However, because Uranus is in Taurus as well, Uranus is the planet of revolution, shakeups, unpredictability. Mars is approaching Uranus. It's very, very close to making an exact conjunction. When those two get together, that's really kind of an unpredictable energy. And frankly, it is, if Mars is the planet of war and aggression, and Uranus is like this unpredictable kind of energy that's collectively, that's a little bit of a warning sign, right? So if we have some violence going on already in the United States, that is actually going to be, it's either exact or very close to an exact conjunction on Inauguration Day, on January 20th. So I would definitely just be patient with others, be patient with yourself around that time. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Mars and Uranus together, it's about like taking unnecessary risks, like not saying, no, not being an answer it wants to hear. And it's interesting because the energy of Taurus doesn't like change, right? Taurus kind of wants things to stay the same. So Uranus being in Taurus for several years is actually a really, really interesting energy on its own, but it's kind of by nature kind of uncomfortable because, those two energies don't really go together. So it's kind of like Mars being in Taurus is almost like an energy that is resistant to change, being brought on by Jupiter in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius, bringing forth kind of the future, bringing forth this kind of new consciousness. Saturn in Aquarius really kind of being about, I think, regulation and laws, technology. Saturn in Aquarius is the internet is approaching its Saturn return. I think it's this year. And Saturn was in Aquarius when the internet was first kind of made available for public use. So we're going to see some, I think, regulation and interesting stuff kind of come about in the consequences of the internet. So Saturn in Aquarius is over here making laws. And I do think possibly, and I think that we have a lot this year on like kind of big legislation, hopefully relief packages, more relief packages for COVID, like bigger stuff, like Green New Deal kind of energy. Saturn was in Aquarius. I think it was, I did a workshop on this and I can't remember. It was Saturn was in Aquarius Saturn was in Aquarius when the New Deal during the Depression was passed by FDR. That sweeping legislation that gave the United States Social Security, among other things, like the idea of a social safety net. So if Jupiter and Saturn are kind of bringing in the future, and Jupiter in Aquarius being expansion of these ideas of the human race as as kind of one collective, as one group of people, and bringing forth more kind of exciting technology. There's a lot about vaccination, I think, that comes in with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius as well. But Mars in Taurus is kind of, I think, resistant to the idea of change, right? So on some level, this is kind of the conservative energy over here kind of acting out when it gets when it kind of gets going with Uranus, okay? So we have all this stuff going on. So if you have felt like you have wanted to kind of bang your head against a wall recently, if you've been trying to make progress but feel like it's maybe one step forward, two steps back, Mars was in a square with Saturn this week. And so Mars by nature wants action. Saturn by nature is like, nope. Or it's like, you need to learn your lesson, or you need to redo this, or it's boundaries, okay? So those two were in conflict. Thankfully, that aspect is separating now. But now Mars is about to square Jupiter, okay? So Mars, planet of action, headed for a tough energy with the planet Jupiter. So I feel like there's this feeling of wanting to get going. Let's expand, let's get going, let's take lots of action. I really would say to you, just really watch where you're going over the next few days. Don't get hot-headed, be careful of accidents, that kind of thing. But I feel like we're all really gonna feel like, okay, let's get going, let's get moving, okay? So the other kind of really big thing I wanted to talk about also was Uranus, planet of revolution, is at an exact square, or pretty close to an exact square with Jupiter, the planet of expansion. Okay, so it's kind of like it's interesting because 2021 has this theme of expansion, contraction, or uncomfortable changes, and kind of dealing with uncomfortable changes and kind of the unknown, like what is coming up for us. But right now, the biggest aspect, I think, is this Jupiter-Uranus thing. So this is change and expansion, but it's kind of this agitated energy, or it is change that feels uncomfortable, that we're all going to have to make on some level in some area of our lives. The collective is being asked to make changes, expand in ways that make you feel uncomfortable right now. Or there's a feeling of being impatient, wanting these changes to happen very, very quickly. Okay, so Uranus and Taurus, the energy of, and it's interesting because Uranus and Taurus over the next few years brings about radical changes with our food supply, because Taurus having to do with the earth, how we grow our food. I do think hopefully more micro farming, urban farming, kind of a radical kind of coming back to nature, I think is going to happen. But I think we're going to see upsets and changes in our food supply. I think that is kind of what is coming down the pipeline with Uranus and Taurus, possibly this year. And then also money. Uranus, so Taurus is, it's the bull, it's about, it's like the gold coin, and it's about our financial, it's because it's like Taurus is money and security, right? So I wonder if I feel like there's probably going to continue to be really kind of crazy stuff going with cryptocurrency. And again, these ideas of like, do we need to work 40 hours a week, really, to survive in 2021? You know, and I'm kind of the belief of like, you should just have a pension for being alive, right? I think we're going to see more ideas of like universal basic income, okay, kind of coming up more this year. And hopefully, I think over this Uranus and Taurus cycle, which we have for several more years, I think finances, like our global finance system, really shifting. So I did just kind of want to mention all of that, but definitely a kind of a strange energy right now. And I would say January and February are kind of a expansion, contraction, interesting energies. And then I'll have more, I'll have a weekly forecast early next week too. So check that out. But let's talk about the new moon. The new moon was in Capricorn. We had a couple there were several aspects kind of going on in the sky, but the only one I really want to talk about was the one that the new moon was making. So new moon is new beginnings, new cycles, new seeds. Capricorn is, this energy of like achievement, of setting goals, of climbing the mountain, right? It's about status and recognition sometimes too. Like career, not that every Capricorn is like career obsessed. It's kind of a stereotype, but the energy of Capricorn is like, it's gonna slowly climb the mountain, right? And being a cardinal sign, that sign by nature is just a bit of a go-getter, right? It initiates things. It's like the first sign of that season. So let me pull up my notes here. Okay, so this moon was conjunct Pluto, right? When I was talking about aspects earlier. Pluto is the planet of intensity, transformation, death. There's usually some kind of letting go or transforming when Pluto makes a significant aspect to your chart, right? It's a huge planet of power. It sort of takes you to the underworld and you come out of the underworld like a different person. So with this new moon being right on top of Pluto, it suggests that there is transformation in this new moon. Something in you might be dying off and something in you is kind of being reborn. Also, this moon has to do with long-term, powerful new beginnings as well. So kind of noticing what is going on in your life right now, especially when I talk about your sign, noticing those long-term new beginnings. And yes, you can play with it like, oh, like on the day of the new moon, setting your intention. It kind of doesn't matter to me. I'm like, if I don't get to it, I don't get to it. But I really kind of notice what I'm thinking about and what I'm putting my attention on during that time kind of gives you a clue where you can expect those new beginnings. All right. So let's talk about, so here's a little mini horoscope for your rising sign. So listen to your rising sign and then your sun sign. If you don't have your rising sign, that's okay. But it's going to be a little bit more accurate, but you may resonate with the sun sign too. So where can you expect this feeling of power, this feeling of long-term new beginnings, this feeling of like not messing around? Because Capricorn does not mess around, neither does Pluto, okay? So the new moon, if you have Aries rising, this new moon will be in your house of career, status, public image, and authority. So time to establish yourself as an authority in your career, some sort of long-term new beginning coming up for you in career. Taurus rising, this is in your 9th house of higher education, long distance travel, other culture, spiritual beliefs, and teaching. It also can be some sort of marketing endeavor as well. Broadcasting, like this is a good time to maybe start like a YouTube channel if you would want to as well. But it's mind expansion for you. Gemini, this is in your 8th house of shared finances. So it could be like taking a fresh look at your finances, at where you owe loans. This could be a time to take out a loan or a line of credit. This is also the house of transformation and grief as well. There's, our really deep emotions kind of lie in the 8th house. So if you have sort of emotional stuff that you haven't worked on, this could be the time to work on that. This is also psychic abilities, tarot, astrology, research. But this is definitely like if you want to work on developing your psychic abilities, your connection with your guides, anything kind of occult. So tarot, numerology, astrology, something along those lines. You can also begin at this time as well. Cancer. This is in your partnership sector. So it's kind of like a new beginning to, it's either a new partnership or it's a new beginning to already established partnerships, like a reinvigoration in this area. And this is something that lasts because this lunation is like this energy lasts a long time. This is also business partners and clients as well. And this is really just you and other people in your life, but it's you and your one-on-one relationships. Leo, we have, so this is in your 6th house of daily work, exercise, physical body, wellness routines, and also your work environment can be people that you employ as well, okay? But anything having to do with your daily work, daily health routine, wellness, that thing, that is a really powerful time to begin a new kind of practice there if you are wanting some sort of new health routine. Virgo, this is actually in your 5th house of romance. So this is a beautiful time to start a new, it's either like a new lease on life, right? Or it could like literally, this could be dating, socializing, also an injection into your creativity. Your creativity could be very important to you right now, and just play and pleasure. It's like play, pleasure. Also, you could also see new opportunities in the lives of your children as well, because your 5th house, it does kind of rule children and any activities relating to children as well. Libra, this is in your home and family sector in your 4th house. So this is like your private life. This can be like, this is a good time to, if you're interested in like ancestral healing, like healing your ancestral line. And what I mean by that is like, you know, the body that you're born into, you're kind of plugging into some trauma that your like generations back have like has occurred with them, right? So like if your ancestors really, like if they went through the Great Depression and they really had a lot of lack, you might be running some of that lack kind of programming. So this could be a time of really kind of connecting to your roots, to your ancestors, healing that, connecting to home and family, and just kind of a reinvestment in your private life. Scorpio, this is anything like any communications projects. So, you know, classes, learning something new, anything having to do with communication and your voice. It's really kind of what it comes down to here. Some sort of long-term new beginning in that area. For example, I'm a Scorpio rising, so this applies to me. I kind of made the commitment to do, okay, I'm going to do live readings on my channel, on my YouTube channel, and on my Facebook every Thursday or every Friday, like once a week. That's like going to be my commitment. I'm going to commit to this and make this grow. It could also be an investment in, you know, your local neighborhood, like where you're living, your community, and then also it has to do with siblings as well. But generally, your voice being seen in communications projects is kind of where it's at. Sagittarius, this is about your earned income. So this can be an investment in a new beginning as far as making more money, your finances, your security and self-worth, and your assets. And this is kind of like valuing yourself more, being more confident. It's that kind of thing. And also really like, this is a very good like lunation about bringing in some other source of income as well. Capricorn, this is about, you're the star of this. So this is like, you're really kind of not messing around. Pluto does not mess around. It is about like an investment in yourself, your identity, your physical body and appearance, your relationships as well, but really kind of stepping up to the plate, I think, with this. It's a new beginning for you in many personal levels. Aquarius, this is in your 12th house, so it has to do with like your subconscious, your spirituality, dreams, meditation. This is a time for you to work on letting go of some stuff, I think. I think any kind of energy work or dream work, but really this is kind of like having some alone time and having some time to kind of do the inner work. It's kind of what I'm feeling with this. Pisces, this is in your 11th house. So this is a new beginning as far as like reinvigorating friend groups and socializing. It can be maybe joining a club or organization that you really vibe with, that you really have like a shared belief with or an interest in, humanitarian projects and nonprofits. And it's also like your dreams and goals and like your wishes. This is a good time to like dream board, you know what I mean? To like kind of put it out there, like, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to experience? But there's a really big component about socializing and friend groups and groups of people and shared ideals with this. So hopefully some of this, hopefully you guys resonated with this. Thank you again for watching. Thanks for your likes and really nice comments and subscribing as well. I do have a spirit guide workshop coming up on January 29th. So if you ever wanted to like meet your spirit guides, interact with them, you'll learn kind of my tips and tricks to do so, along with some guided meditations. So that should be really fun. And then I am doing live psychic readings on my YouTube channel and Facebook once a week. So I think this week it'll be on a Friday, just because I have something going on Thursday, but stop by if you'd like a reading. I can't get to everybody, but I do try to get to a lot of people, but otherwise you can feel free to book an appointment as well. And I do email questions, just like email questions as well if you just have one question and don't want to book a full session. So thank you again. Have a good weekend, and I will see you in a few days. Bye-bye, everybody.